Hello, sports fans, and welcome to SportsBeat TV, a production of Oregon SportsBeat. Today we are at Level Beer. It's at 5211 Northeast 148th, and a great facility here. This used to be a farm. Now there's a bar and restaurant. They have indoor-outdoor seating. They have food carts. They have a park area that you can bring your kids and play at. We are in the room that's called the barrel room. It's where they age the spirits that they make in the bar, so we want to thank them for their hospitality. Today, our segment, we're going to deal with lacrosse in Oregon, and we have with us a special guest. This is Paul Schlesinger, the commissioner of the OHSLA, the Oregon High School Lacrosse Association. Paul, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, David.
Great to be here with you. Now, I know you have a background in lacrosse, and I think you have a long history in lacrosse. Tell me a little bit about your background.
I started playing when I was in high school back in the late 1960s.
Many people don't realize lacrosse, well, first, it's probably the oldest sport in America, but that competitively at the high school and college level, lacrosse has been going on for 60 years. Back east, Long Island, New York, Baltimore, Maryland, and throughout the East Coast. It's second nature. See 4 or 5-year-old boys with their helmets and sticks going on the bus to school, and it's second nature back there. Back here, West Coast, it's a fairly new sport. You played 60 years ago?
I'm doing the math, and yeah, about that long ago.
Did you play at the high school and college level?
Started in high school here at Oregon Episcopal Schools, and then went and played a few years down in San Francisco for a club team, Palo Alto Lacrosse Club. At the time, both club and college teams would play each other. Started to play in Portland. It was Oregon Episcopal Schools, Catlin Gable, and University of Oregon. 3 schools playing against each other. Down in Palo Alto, I played for Palo Alto Lacrosse Club for college, and we would play against Stanford, Berkeley, UC Davis, and club teams down there for a few years, and then moved back up here to Portland and started playing for Portland Lacrosse Club. And after 2 knee injuries.
I've had one of those.
2 knee injuries, 5 surgeries on the same knee. I decided that I would retire. I was hoping that I could become a spectator then. And some friends talked me into becoming an assistant coach, and coached for around 18 years. I then decided it's really now time to retire and become a spectator, and then was talked into becoming assistant commissioner of the league. And a year later, the commissioner decided to retire, and they said, "You're now the commissioner," and I've been doing that for around 7 years.
Before we talk a little bit about what that means as far as your duties are concerned, tell me a little bit about the history of the OHSLA. How long it's been around? How are teams into that? It's not an OSAA sanctioned sport.
We are not sanctioned by OSAA. We do have a good relationship with the OSAA. Our one key item is managing high school lacrosse for the state of Oregon. There's 44 teams that the league manages throughout the state of Oregon. Those are varsity teams, and then there's a like number of junior varsity teams.
Because you're not in OSAA, your leagues are not structured the same way OSAA leagues are. You have teams that are different OSAA league teams who are playing in different divisions of the OHSLA.
Yeah, that's correct, Dave. We have a mixture of 6A down to 3A, so they're all combined into one league. We have around 6 conferences, around 4 to 6 teams per conference, and we manage it from the financial management to working on the schedules with team reps and team coaches. And we also work with the Oregon Lacrosse Official Association, and they're the ones that officiate the teams.
Now, I know you mentioned you've been the commissioner for like 7 years, 6 or 7 years. I also know your term is up in a couple of weeks. You're going to retire, but and then one of the assistants will become the new commissioner. What are the duties of the commissioner of the OHSLA?
Basically, the duties are managing the day-to-day work of the league, making sure that teams have their schedules, making sure that there are officials at the games, making sure that they abide by the National Association rule book, and when there are penalties and expulsions by a student athlete or a coach, making sure that those fines are done and brought into the league.
Are you going to miss it?
Am I going to miss it? No, I am not going to miss it. After close to 20 years playing, close to 20 years of coaching, and around 7 years of being either an assistant commissioner or a commissioner, I think it's about time that I can enjoy picking a game and just being a spectator.
Now, I've been covering lacrosse the last 3 or 4 years. I've done a couple of championship games. I know your playoffs are going on right now. I know you have, you mentioned you have 44 teams. You actually have 2 levels of playoffs. I think you have a championship division of playoffs, and then I think it's called the Columbia
Cascade Cup.
Cascade Cup, a different. How are those structured, and what's the current status of the playoff?
The playoffs started last Friday. We had games Friday and Saturday. The next set of games will be Tuesday of this coming week, and they are basically the championship bracket and the Cascade Cup bracket, which is the second tier. We've done this for 4 years now, and find that by having the 2 brackets, we can get more teams involved.
So the championship bracket is your more elite teams, and they play for a championship cup. The Cascade bracket is teams that didn't qualify for that first, and they have a tournament and they get a champion out of that.
Both brackets get they get awards for first and second place, both of them. We also give out medallions to the student athletes and the coaches of each team. So we do award our teams. We also have a Coach of the Year and Player of the Year awards. And this coming end of season, we're introducing the Commissioner Award, which we haven't quite decided what that format is, though we do have an award for whomever receives that.
Now, I know just the fact that you're not an OSAA sanctioned sport doesn't mean that, one, it's highly competitive, and two, a lot of your players wind up with college scholarships.
They do. I mean, we're now, we have players at the college level, whether it's D1, D2, or D3, coming out of Oregon high schools, and quite noticeable in top schools. We've got players that are now playing for the Division I championship games.
I've seen some of those.
Yeah, so it's incredibly exciting that just a few short years ago, Oregon was totally not known for producing quality players, and we're now being looked at by colleges across the nation. We have coaches coming out and looking at our student athletes, and we're having Oregon-made players being looked at for the Thornton Cup, which is the lacrosse equivalent of the Heisman Trophy. So that's pretty darn exciting.
Now, the championship, the OHSLA championship, when and where is that?
This year we'll be at Canby High School. The semi-finals will be Wednesday, May 31st, and the championship game, the Cascade Championship, and our All-Star game will all be on Saturday, June 3rd at Canby.
We've got about a minute left, Paul. What's the future for the OHSLA?
The future is, at some point, hopefully we'll transition to a OSAA sanctioned sport. In the meantime, the future looks bright. We had issues like a lot of other sports with concussions and things like that, but on the positive side, we have students in middle school that are taking up the sport and moving on to high school level. In my mind,
Boys and girls.
Boys and girls, correct, Dave. And in my mind, it's a growing sport. It's a sport that can be good for both men and women, starting in middle school, moving to high school, and moving on to college, and then from there, club. I mean, I played high school, college, and club, and to this day, I've got friends almost in the 50 states. I can call any of them, and they'll take my call, and it's an exciting sport.
Well, Paul, thanks for joining us tonight. Good luck on your retirement from Commissioner of the OHSLA. I know we'll still see you around.
Yes.
I think we'll see you probably at the championship games. But thanks for joining us here at SportsBeat TV. And thanks for joining us. This is SportsBeat TV, a production of Oregon SportsBeat. I'm your host. Good night, everybody.